Hi there, welcome to the Carr Brothers Show. It's episode 145. I'm Jack.
And I'm Jeff.
And I'm Jody.
The third of the Carr Brothers. I was waiting for that, Jody.
I couldn't resist. For some dead air.
It's great. It's great to have all of our viewers watching on CHCO TV, which is broadcasted on Rogers, Shaw, and Bell, and also on our Facebook page, The Carr Brothers, and on YouTube, and on your favorite podcast. And Jeff, how about you introduce our guest?
So yeah, today we're excited to have a return guest, Rudi Fowler, solar expert extraordinaire. He's been working at solar and cellular and satellite for many, many, many years, jack of all trades, as well as many of you would know Rudi as one of the founders of the 1,000 Mile Challenge, and we want to talk a little bit about that after a while if we have time, on how that's grown over the years, how the structure of it has changed a little bit over the years, because it has, and just how many children they reach in a lot of different regions in North America, really, to help send them to camp. So I think we'll start off with a little solar discussion today.
Yes.
How's that sound, Rude?
Oh, I love talking about the sun.
Yes, the sun is the money.
And where
maker.
is it lately?
Well,
Can you
where
tell
is
us that part?
What can you do about that? Right? I mean,
It's waiting for you guys to get solar in your houses.
Right.
And we'll release it.
okay.
Yeah,
okay.
banking it.
I'm glad you
Banking
came in
it.
to talk about that.
So yeah, tell us about your business
what do you
here,
do?
your venture here
Yeah.
with solar power.
Yeah, so I guess to get into solar power a long time ago, probably 17, 18 years ago. Been off-grid my whole life, never paid MB Power ever.
Ooh.
So anyways, live off-grid in Tracy. There's 6 of us living in one place, solar, battery, and no power bills. But so that kind of developed into a business. Excuse me. And so now I have East Coast Sun. I do a lot of consulting work, do a lot of sales, design, site visits, and stuff like that. So my favorite thing to do is educate people about solar, and I guess that's why I'm here. So I can tell you guys what I know about it, what's driving it, because it's been doubling its presence here in New Brunswick every year since I've been in it. And it's rocking. And a lot of people don't know why it's rocking or what, 20 years ago, it was just a magic thing that no one knew about. And now it's, my neighbor has it. And I find the customers a lot more educated than they used to be.
Right.
Well, one thing that I'm wondering is how much does it relate to the increase in power rates? At MB Power, New Brunswick, our rates have gone up significantly the last 2 years. You guys know this better than I do, but then they're planning to ask for another rate increase, and people are upset.
Yeah, they I guess they should be. However, it is justified. So I kind of see myself as an ambassador with MB Power because I know a lot about what goes on and why the rate increases have to happen. And, you'll see a lot of things on social media. Oh, they're getting another rate increase because somebody needs a salary increase or this or that. Apparently, it's only 3% of the total budget with MB Power is salaries.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, so they need the money for a variety of reasons. But the fact is people are being charged more, and they're looking for alternatives, I'm sure.
Yeah, they're feeling it. And every time, I love it when the power rates go up. It's my favorite thing ever. It makes the phone ring. It's like, someone asks, how much advertising do you do? Well, every month, MB Power sends out an ad that, promotes solar. Essentially, because there's only a certain amount of things you can do to offset that power bill, short of living in the dark. And nobody wants to do that.
Right.
So it's, you can reduce your bill so far. And then after that, it's, you can offset it. You can actually offset it. And the net metering program in New Brunswick, which I'll talk more on, is actually pretty good. We're quite privileged to have that. And I've been an advocate for not changing that because there's been some chat about that as well.
Okay, so are there other factors that are driving the interest in solar?
The main thing, there's a lot of people who will say they want to be green and whatnot. I found in my business, I bet it's 1% that aren't doing it because of their pocketbook. The wallet drives everything. Okay. In everything anyway. That's where I see most of we do see those who will pay the extra for resiliency. So when the power's out, or the independence, I think is why I do it. So I want to be independent. Yeah. And, maybe it's an ego thing, But being off grid, and then, I mean, a big reason for me, it was going to be $150,000 to bring the power out.
Power line.
Yeah. So it's like, oh, well, maybe I can look at other things. And, it was, so a variety of different reasons. I would say 98% is all dollar driven.
Right.
So you're with East Coast Sun, and so what's the starting point for people? What do you do? Like, do you go in and people just call you? I want solar, or is that how it starts? Or how does this all start?
Yeah, the biggest, like I said before the show started, the first thing you got to do is get mad at MB Power.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to do. I was trying to get us set the stage here. Yes.
Yeah. So step one. The bills hit you all every month, and it's not just power bills. It's everything bills, and the power bill is one of your big ones.
Yeah.
So the first thing I tell people, I give them a proposal, and it helps them see what solar would look like on their house. Mm-hmm. So, excuse me. So when they see that, they can see how much they might have to pay a month and how much they'll save. So I mean, that's the big thing. It's the initial thought is solar's really expensive. Well, so is paying your power bill forever. So the first step, I try to get a proposal in people's hands. It just lets them see how it would look. And a lot of times they'll understand from that proposal because there's some education behind it. And then I have 6 steps to solar, it's called. The proposals just kind of get something in your hand. The first thing the thing that's driving solar right now in our province is an interest-free loan from the federal government. It's $40,000 interest-free loan over 10 years. That means you can borrow up to $40,000, not pay a nickel of interest on it over 10 years. So that's what's driving a lot of it. There is an MB Power provincial incentive that pays up to $3,000 for a residential home, and then there's commercial stuff, which is even better. And but we won't get into that today. So, right. So those incentives are there, but customers are like, well, how do I get to that? So a lot of everything starts with a home energy audit. Okay. And there's 5 or 6 companies in the province that they'll come to your home and they'll do an assessment of your home, and they'll look around, they'll measure the windows, measure the walls, measure the insulation in your attic, in the walls, in the basement, and they give you an awesome report at the end of it. They'll even put a blower door motor in your door, and they'll suck the air out of your house, and they'll measure how leaky your home is.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So they'll give you all these metrics. It costs $99. And it's subsidized because nobody's coming to your house for 4 hours for $99. Mm-hmm. Subsidized somewhere. I don't know the details. It's $99. It gives you this awesome report. So I had it done in my home just for the metrics, just for the data. I said, well, we built this house. I want to know what it's at. Mm. So that's the gateway to any of the incentives or any of the solar for residential customers. Some high rollers might not use that. 95% of the customers would.
So do you connect people like Mr. Smith and Mrs. Jones? Do you tell them here's the link you go to order it, here's the phone number, or do you organize that for the person?
Yeah,
or?
there's a lot of steps that the homeowners have to do themselves. So I'll recommend a certain company because I'll have certain pull with certain companies because we're feeding them all the time.
Yeah.
So I'll make a recommendation on an auditor. It all has to go through the MB Power website
first, right?
Yeah, it all starts with the Total Home Energy Savings Program.
Home Energy Savings Program.
They need an acronym for that, right?
Yes.
The government should have an acronym.
Yes, they should.
And that's found on the MB Power website.
MB Power website. Total Home Energy Savings Program.
And you go in, click on that, order your audit. You can select a drop down, probably 6 out of the auditors,
or randomise it. So there's a few around.
And then they come.
They come to audit. Yep, they come to your house, and there might be a 3-week. It's about 3 weeks right now for them to come. They'll go sniff around your house, check everything out, suck the air out of it, and then they're not just getting metrics, but they're also looking at, hey, you've got baseboard heat. You should probably have a heat pump.
They're looking at opportunities to save it.
Yeah. So, like I said earlier, I'm always trying to sell less solar. So because there's an ROI, there's a return on the investment for your solar, and it might be 10 years. But a heat pump might pay for itself in 6 because you're not paying that baseboard all the time. So And then if now you've reduced your bill, so now I don't have to sell you as much solar. So now you're just saving everywhere. So I always talk about defense before offense. And there's different products out there. And all these things are subsidized through this total home energy savings program. So I'm usually against borrowing money for things. Right. But if you're borrowing money on something
zero interest,
at zero interest, and it saves you the money that you're using to pay on that, you're not going to feel it in your bank account.
Yeah.
Right.
So if you're paying $350 a month on power, and you're saving maybe through these programs $200 a month, but you still pay the $350, you're paying your loan off. You're paying the same amount over
Correct.
time, and then eventually it'll pay for itself.
Right.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
So the beauty of the audit, and I always push the audit, even if you're not, if you're thinking about solar, if you're thinking about changing a window in your house, they're going to give you $40 a window. Like, there's a list of eligible items in this audit, and you have to have the audit to do it. So because they come back after and make sure the solar panels didn't end up on your camp.
Right.
or the window was changed or whatnot. So they document it all, and then you make these improvements, and say changing a window might tighten up your home, right? Or putting the heat pump in. So they have the government, I believe it's the federal government, has software that's been developed to forecast what your energy usage will be before and after. So it can predict how much. And it's the same thing we're using with our solar stuff. We can tell, based on our history and even local history on all the 2 megawatts of solar we've had our fingers in New Brunswick, we can forecast what your savings will be. So all these things get with that $99 audit, which is worth the $99 just to have. If you don't do anything, worst case, you just blew $99. I've wasted $99 on much worse things.
Yeah.
So it gives you that information. And then I think you have 18 months if you're going to do some type of edit to your house. So
this would be the same when people talk about getting a heat pump, getting insulation, blown in insulation, getting foam around their rock foundation. All that is from this total home energy savings program.
Yep, correct.
And so solar would be another box on the toolbox.
Yep,
I guess.
100%.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So it comes back so he comes to your home. He does his report. It takes about a week. They go back to the office, take all the data, and they send you back a pre-report. So a pre-upgrade report, I believe it's called. And that information is given to you, and it's like, here's our list of recommendations. And they used to order them, and solar might have been the last one. If you don't have insulation in your walls, you should probably do that before you put solar on. Try to offset it with
defense before offense.
100%.
They'll make recommendations then in this audit. Will they?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I'll make recommendations because a lot of times after they get their proposal from me, the main reason for me to get the proposal out there is because it helps people understand their solar. I'm not trying to sell it to them right away. Sometimes they'll say, "Oh, I really want it," but I don't. And they'll sign a proposal with me. They'll sign a contract with me. But I always tell them, I want to come to your house and visit your house first. That's where I'm going after this, actually.
And is that after the audit or before the audit?
I'll go anytime.
Okay.
Yeah. So, because a lot of customers will hold their hand through the whole process.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm looking for. I just
the paperwork and stuff, and I hate that stuff.
Yeah.
But
I just want the easiest way to go to where I need to go to get what I need to get. And if you can help me do that, then I'd like to have you do it.
Right.
Have you help me do it as easy as possible.
So,
and whether you're an older person or a younger person or people that don't have access to the news, the technology, or whatever, or the time, then you probably provide a valuable service just to give the confidence to someone that this is the right direction to go.
Yeah.
And doable.
Doable.
Yeah, and I've got a good team behind me, that are able to, we've got the electricians, and we've got the installers, and we've got finance, and all this other stuff.
Oh, good.
So there's certain things that the homeowner has to do, like the loan application.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Has to be them. We can help you through it, but legally we're not supposed to do it for you.
That makes sense.
So, but there's certain things, and even I know we've got a customer local here in Richard-Gornish, and he was struggling through a few things, and we've got a team that can just pick up the phone and say, hey, we're gonna stay on the phone with you the whole time through this and make sure you get everything right. And it's it confuses a lot of people, and there's a lot of trust involved with this. So,
and so one of the other steps would be then is the loan application.
Yeah.
Or am I jumping?
No.
Okay.
So once your audit's done, and you might have a bunch of different things that you want upgrade.
Right.
And we'll say solar's one of them. Or say you're in a new home or a 6-month-old home, because this total home energy savings program is for 6-month-old homes or older. So the house has to be that old. So say everything, so you have a heat pump. I mean, you're in the housing business. You know what a good tight house looks like.
Yeah.
Right. So they want solar. So they got their audit done. That on the audit, there's a file number, and you need that file number to apply for. It's called the Greener Homes Loan, not to be confused with the Greener Homes grant that ended a year and a half ago, which was a federal grant for solar, which was really good, but it's gone.
Okay.
For now. So the Greener Homes Loan, you can log into the site. You need that file number, so you can't do the loan without the audit. So you apply for the loan. They approve it as fast as 24 hours. I've seen it done in 24 hours.
Wow.
And it's been subbed out by the federal government to a private company, which is why it might be faster.
So does that have anything to do with income? Is it income based as well?
Yeah, it'd be like a typical loan application.
Okay.
I'm not sure if they consider the fact that you're going to be saving the money that you'll be putting towards the loan. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I see very few loan applications not make it through.
Do they take into consideration, though, the household income and whether you qualify? Like,
Yep.
So is it more lower income? Is it medium income? Is it means tested that way? Or
It's like a typical loan. Yeah. So they want to just make sure that you can be able to swing that 40.
So a typical,
up to 40.
Yeah, a typical loan would be like if you make more money, you can borrow more money. But
Right. Yeah.
And what about the situation where people will say, "Oh, I got a heat pump and it didn't cost me anything because their income was
Right, that's a different program through
okay.
MB Power. Yeah,
Oh, that's
so they call it low income. I think it's anything below 70,000.
70,000
Okay.
per household.
So
Okay.
that one,
It's hard to believe that 70,000 is low income now. But
Yeah.
Well,
but that one's
we
the
bumped it up to 70. It was lower than that when MB Power brought the proposal into caucus.
Really?
It was
Yeah.
a lower number, and we said, you need to adjust that. But what that does is include so many more people, and the list is longer, right? The backlog list of people
And-
wanting it. So, but
And not to jump back into the low income program, but does that still require an audit? I'm assuming that
that's a good
energy
question.
audit.
I don't actually know the answer to
I
that.
believe it does.
I think it does.
It
too.
should.
it should.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's other upgrades people in that income bracket can get as well, with like your insulation, windows, and things like that. They
Right.
can access those. So to get
Okay.
all those, I think you have to get the audit done.
Gotcha.
Everybody needs the audit. So
Yeah.
whoever's
And the
performing the
audit's a
audits,
great
it's a
thing.
cash crop for them. It's
Yeah.
sure money.
Yeah.
Well, that's good to know. So for people that may go on this stream of the loan application, they may actually qualify for the low income program. So it's
Right,
something
and
to keep in
you
mind.
can only be in one at a time.
Oh, okay.
I do know that.
Makes sense.
So the if you're not running, like I said, defense before offense, like try to get your power bill down, and then you
Yes.
don't have to offset as much of it. And the more you don't buy, the more you're sheltered from the poor decisions of MB Power.
Yeah,
Or I shouldn't say that.
what have you.
Yeah, but
Well, the goal at the end of the day is to be more energy efficient.
Yeah, you're just
And
going
then
to
how
use
you
less.
offset that energy you do use is the next step.
Yeah, because you can only go so far.
Right.
Right. There's been some houses that have been built that are like crazy. Remember the Nogler house over in the north side? Huge insulation. They had a power bill of like, I don't know, $30 a year.
Oh, wow.
But they spent hundreds of thousands of dollars extra to make that happen. So I believe there's a happy medium there.
Yes.
Solar is really, it's as cheap as it's ever been. And during COVID, everything went up. The price of the solar never went up. It's quite
Incredible.
phenomenal. Yeah. So anyway, it's always been what we're selling it for now or less. It's less than it's ever been.
Right. Well, that's excellent. I mean,
Yeah.
we're at the end of this first segment. An excellent discussion on solar power and the programs that go along with it. If you or anybody you know is interested in more energy efficiency for your home, solar, heat pumps, and what that looks like, contact Rudi at East Coast Sun.
East
All over
Coast Sun.
Facebook.
Yep.
All over Facebook.
Facebook, and we have a webpage.
Yeah, it has a webpage. Check that out, and he will get you started on a path towards what looks best for you. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about smart meters, maybe some equalized billing and things like that, and net zeroing and things like that. So stick around. We're going to watch a few commercials from CHCO.
Hi there. Welcome back to the Carr Brothers Show. It's episode 145. I'm Jack.
And I'm Jeff.
And I'm Jody, and we're so glad you have come back to
Yes.
participate in this nice discussion we're having, guys.
Yep, Jeff.
Oh, it's a great discussion here with Rudi Fowler, one of our local legends on many
Yes.
different fronts. And
Don't change the channel, folks.
don't change the channel. It's going to get better. So
Yeah.
first segment, we talked a lot about solar and the energy efficiency programs and how you can get engaged with that. And if you want to lower your power bill or sustain climate change and fix all those things that go along with it, and maybe lighten your invoice or your bill load at the end of every month. But we're going to continue some of that discussion and move into a little bit of net zero, smart meters, and some of those things. And Rudi, you've had a lot of videos. You've put videos on Facebook and done some lives and trying to answer people's questions, but there's always lots more. And recently with MB Power, over the winter, a lot of people blame smart meters for their increase in their power bills and all this business. But I think there was a study done by KPMG and MB Power, and they've been trying to spin that out to the MLAs and committee and stuff like that. But most people still don't believe it, obviously. But tell us your thought and your takes on smart meters and how that's working out for the province and what the advantages, disadvantages of them are. Because there's advantages, we know that.
Yeah, 100%. There's a lot of arguments on why we have smart meters, and I believe the reason that we are bringing smart meters in is because we're going to be implementing time of use billing. So it's in every jurisdiction except for New Brunswick. And the reason is we're going to start charging different rates for different times of the day. So in the morning, we all wake up, typically for 9 to 5ers, typical blue-collared worker. We'll call ourselves. You wake up and you might have a shower. And then fire off the toaster. These are big loads.
Lots
in your
of
house.
demand in the morning.
And then you go to work, and then it might smooth out on the residential level. And then at nighttime, you come home, throw that turkey in the oven. If you're
Wondering.
I don't think people are cooking turkeys anymore.
Let's say grilled cheeses.
Yeah, you're just running some stuff.
Electric
You're back home,
stove.
you're using power again.
Right.
So there's shoulder sides of the day. So in the morning and at night. And the power, there's a higher load on the grid. So that power actually, we might not be able to generate that. So we might have to fire up a generator like Colson Cove that might cost us, say, 50 cents a kilowatt hour versus what we're selling it for at 16 cents a kilowatt hour. So MB Power is managing all this behind the scenes, and if we can't make it, we'll import it. Yeah. So we'll buy it from, and of course, if you're selling something, how much you're going to pay for it? Whatever someone will give you, right? So that's the pricing. So they're running this like a little stock market. And us as consumers, we don't care. We just want to turn it on. We're all entitled to having heat when we want it. So guess what? If they have to pay, we should have to pay, because that's how we curb our habits is with our pocketbook. So time of use billing is coming, and the smart meters are going to allow us to, MB Power, allow us to put a different price at a certain time of the day.
Because they'll know when we're consuming that high-end energy.
Right.
So what you're saying is the peak times in the morning and the evenings is when our kilowatt hour pay, or what we pay for power, is going to increase
or stay the same. It's been indicated to me that the smart meter, or that time of use, is going to actually make it cheaper for us during the daytime.
Right.
Yes.
And the same price at night. Now that rate is constantly going up. We had 13.5% last year and 9.7% this April. Excuse me. So they did a study in Shediac where they did time of use, and they tried to see what would happen if they took a set amount of customers, put them on time of use, how their habits would change.
Right.
I don't think it was successful.
No, because I would think, like the carbon tax, your rate increase would have to be significant into the point that it's going to change your behavior.
Right. So if I changed it at your house and said, hey, your power is going to be cheaper in the daytime, you're probably not going to change your habits, because you just know your power bill is going to go down anyway.
I don't know.
So you're happy to be on the program.
Yeah.
You don't have to change anything.
You get your bill at the end of the month, and you really would have to hone in on the time of day and
Analyze
when
it
the bill goes up
Right.
or down.
You'd
or
have
the
to know
rate
that.
and
if you're motivated maybe to do an audit.
maybe Alexa can say your rate's gone up now. It's 2:00 in the afternoon.
Absolutely,
or
and they
gone
do
down,
that
or,
right in California and
Oh, really?
stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
The devices like your washer and dryer and stuff, you can program in your dishwasher. You can program it to run when the power is cheaper. So we call it happy hour.
Yeah.
Right.
I believe in Ontario there's ultra low rate of 2 cents a kilowatt hour. We're paying 16 cents.
Yes.
So, and then you can just run your stuff in the middle of the night. So they've got the generators running. Let's say Mactaquat's flowing all night. We don't need the power because everyone's sleeping. But maybe we can make our car charge at night or our water heat at night.
Yeah.
So
in theory, it makes sense.
yeah,
It's just a matter of
Yeah,
So
2
the
o'clock
smart
in the
meter-
morning, kids, get up. We're having showers here.
yeah,
ready
have your
for the
shower in
day.
the morning.
Yeah.
But
So the smart meter is going to allow MB Power to
do that.
do time of use billing.
that's right. They're going to be able to do time of use. There's a lot of other features with the smart meter that they've talked about, and another one would be being able to see when your power's off. I don't think anybody cares. They know when the power's off.
Oh, yeah, they
but
get
they can
100 phone
report
calls.
it. Yeah, they can report it to MB Power. So yeah, it can do that, but who cares? Another thing, you could remotely turn off your power. Great for MB Power. You just you don't get any power anymore. But the big perk that I think that they're really missing out on, and I know you're watching, how much energy am I using? How many dollars per hour? How many cents an hour am I using right now? If I turn these lights off and I have an app on my phone,
Right.
I can say, oh my, that was costing me 10 cents an hour or $1 an hour, or spread it out over a month. That thing there has been costing us $100 a month.
Or, yeah,
So
the
energy
something
monitor
or-
side of it.
Yeah.
So
So the smart meter doesn't tell you real time.
it collects. This is a big fail on our smart meters. It'll give us 15-minute intervals, but we can't access that data until it's 3 days old. So what's the good of it, right? So I think MB Power should have been on the ball and had this thing just rocking before we went and implemented it.
Yeah.
Can they go to that stage eventually, though? Probably.
That's the plan, is
Yeah.
to be able to go there.
Because I remember
Baby steps.
them talking about this 15, 17,
Yep.
almost
yeah.
20 years ago or more. But I just remember this was the plan, big partnership with big international companies. But
Siemens and-
it's slowly coming out here a little bit in dribs and drabs. Maybe there's a lot more in the behind the scenes that's happening. But
So
we're here now. And
They're not agile.
Yeah.
Definitely not agile.
Now, when you talk about knowing what one appliance or one action and the cost and the rates, is that sort of the energy monitoring as well?
Well, energy monitors is what I'd love to see in the province.
Okay.
So technically, a smart meter does it monitors energy, but it monitors at the meter. So that's going to take your whole panel, your entire house, and say this is how much it's costing.
Right.
If you want to find out what something's cost, like a device, you'd have to turn it off, check, do
so
the
it's
math.
going deeper. It's going deeper than what the smart meter does. Like
An energy monitor. So I install these almost daily.
you do? Okay.
Yeah, and what I'd love to see the province do. Is put energy monitors in every single house.
Okay.
And the big reason is energy literacy. There's a ton of hate out there for MB Power. There's a ton of hate for the smart meters because for some reason, when we changed the smart meters, our power bill went up. That's the general consensus. So I've actually done a bunch of research.
I've seen some of your Facebook posts too.
Yeah, I'd love to find a fault with the smart meter, but I can't. So on the consumption side, I cannot.
So are they just reading more accurate than the old conventional meters? Is that
There was
the
a
issue?
theory that the old meters weren't reading; they were being generous and giving you more power. There's our rates went up 13% last year, and, and then 10%, 9.7, compounded on that.
Right.
It was a cold winter. I burned more firewood than I normally would. I burned all of it.
Yeah, and the year
So-
before, the power went out in many places for 5+ days.
Yeah,
or so.
good
In
point.
December, yeah.
So I put energy monitors on the mains in the panel that would monitor the exact same power that's flowing through our smart meters, and they're within $1.
Right.
And I'm not using revenue grade stuff. This is like $300 energy monitors, and it's basically monitoring how much power is coming in past the meter. If there's discrepancy, I would be the first one to blow the whistle.
Yes,
As you
you
know.
certainly would. Yeah.
But there's not. So and MB Power can't afford that either. I mean, their PR's a train wreck. Let's be honest. And I want to help them with that. And I think I can be a good ambassador with. And the reason I want them to have energy monitors, and I don't think MB Power can say, hey, we're going to put an energy monitor in your house, because nobody trusts them anymore. It has to be either maybe the provincial government or some third party that's been subcontracted to do that. But the advantage of the energy monitor is it's going to give customers a third party view of how much power they're using
And where in the house.
well that's the beauty of it
That is
too.
the beauty
That's
of it.
cool.
So you can
So
dig into
is
different
it,
circuits.
Mom and dad, is it Nana and Grandpa over in the wing next door? Is it your
the pool
daughter,
heater?
son,
Is it
daughter?
Exactly.
The whirlpool, the hot tub,
So when I
the
go into a
fridge?
house, I start targeting anything on the 240.
Right.
If I see 100 amp on there, I'm clamping her. You got a hot tub, Jack's got a hot tub,
Yeah.
pool heater, all these things that might be a big user, electric car. And now I've got an app that you can look at and you can see, you know what? I spent more money on hot water than I did driving my Tesla, which is typical, actually. Fun fact, right? Who knew that?
Yeah.
But now I know that. The typical customer with MB Power has no idea what a kilowatt hour is. It's a weird word, but they know what a dollar is at the end of every month. But I can show you on an app, and I can show you a whole bunch of customers on that phone right now who's using how much they use this day, how much they use this month, and they can see where their money's going, because people don't know where their money's going. They just know, hey, I got $1,000
And they just know
bill.
it's more of it.
Yeah, and
More of it's going.
so I had one customer. She was running a electric plug-in heater, but they left the window open in the kid's bedroom.
What's wrong with that?
Well, they didn't know,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they'd never been taught that. So we could put that stuff in schools, really. So if we increase the energy literacy, it's going to help MB Power, because we're MB Power. We own MB Power. This is our problem.
Yeah.
Half of would I be correct in saying half of the province's debt is in MB Power? It's $5 billion and climbing.
$5 billion. Yeah.
Holy jeez.
So
Yeah,
it's a
almost.
lot.
Pretty close.
I think it's like $170 million a year in
Interest.
interest. Yeah. So
So we all have a role to help each other
Well,
in
we
education
should.
and support and things like that. So the energy monitoring, like you said, it's people take ownership of their own power that they're using and knowledge and gain knowledge.
Yeah.
How much does something like this cost to have an energy monitor?
to have them installed, I start at $500. So I got to roll a truck and have a guy go in and put them in. You can buy them yourself and install themselves anywhere from $200 to $300. So I'd love to see more people do
But they're
that.
not. They don't.
Yeah,
they're
well, I
not
wouldn't-
app. You can't. They don't sync to an app. Those cheaper grade ones.
No,
lower end.
all the ones that we do are
But you got to know what you're doing.
app related. Well, you're going to be an electrical panel.
Yeah.
You've got to go in. You can't shut off those mains. So
No.
you're working with like a full 200 amps if you want to.
Best to get a
melt your
professional.
screwdriver pretty quick.
Yeah, it can be a party. So I think, and we've got electrical panels that have that integrated into them, but it's education. It's so customers know where their money's going, and then you can't get mad at MB Power if I go in and show you an energy monitor. Be like, man, this third party thing that has no affiliation with the government or anything like that. It's telling you this is where your dollars are going, and they pay for themselves so fast.
I bet.
I
Like
put one
if
in a business last week, and it was something that we never clamped, and it was showing 70% of his energy, and it was just something that was left on, and he didn't know about it, and it never made any noise. It was just a little heating element that just sat there in full, and there's $120 a month right there.
Wow.
So 2 months, he's got that baby just about paid for.
So it's kind of a comprehensive approach, kind of a diversified approach of getting your energy audit through your auditor, seeing what type of energy you're using and your efficiency of your house, then taking some personal initiative to do the monitoring, see where you're actually spending on what. And then maybe if you reduce your costs existing, then you would look at alternative kind of replacements of regular MB Power electricity to solar, wind.
I'd love to see first thing the customers do is, of course, reduce. I mean, you don't need an energy monitor to tell.
It must help, though.
Yeah, when I go to people's houses, I sniff around. I'm looking around and be like, okay.
Thermostats and windows
Yeah,
open.
But you help with all of that then, right from kind of the beginning?
I do, but I only sell solar for now.
Right.
For now. So there's a shift coming, folks. But because I'm always promoting all this stuff, but I don't sell
Yeah,
it. So
defense before offense.
right.
So
Heat pump water heaters. Like anybody who knows me, I've been pushing those things for you. You guys probably don't even know what they are.
a heat pump water heater?
A heat pump water heater.
No, I don't think
So it's
Tell
a
us
heat
about
pump that goes on top of your water heater. Your water heater, your two biggest users in your house is your space heat, and then second to that would be your water heater.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so your hot water. And guess where that goes when you use it? Right down the drain.
Down the drain.
Right? So
Most
you're
of it's wasted.
Just with the bill.
Right. So a heat pump water heater uses about 25% of a regular water heater. A regular water heater with 2 elements, 60 gallons, 6,500 watts. What does that mean? Well, we'll just say 6,500 units.
Okay.
A heat pump water heater uses 500. But what it does is it takes the heat from an area, or you can pipe it from the outside if you really want, and it puts the heat from your house into your water heater. But it uses very little power because it's just moving heat around.
Transferring.
So, and also dehumidifies the space. So if you're running a dehumidifier, an air conditioner, and a water heater, if you put a heat pump water heater in, it's going to do all that. The perk is it cools off the space that it's in. So I have one in my basement, cools off the basement. The disadvantage is it cools off the space that it's in.
You gotta heat it.
So in the wintertime, it's a couple degrees cooler in my basement.
So how popular are they in New Brunswick? How many people?
They're not.
They're not at all.
It's like if someone's listening to this right now and you're a plumber or an electrician and you want to start a business, their heat pump water heaters is a business. It's a career for somebody. And I will feed you the leads. It's one of it's in Maine. It's really big.
How attainable are they for people? Like, are they expensive compared to?
They're about $2,500. They're $550 is actually incentivized on the total home energy savings program.
Oh, so it is on the list.
Which is nice.
It is on the
In
list.
Maine, they have a little different program over there. They're $475 American dollars right at the till if you live in Maine, which is kind of cool.
No kidding.
So they're pushing them really hard over there. But anyway, that's just one thing that will save people a lot of money. If you're just two people living in a house and you don't have a shower or bath every day, maybe it wouldn't pay for itself. But if you got like 4 kids in hockey and you're coming home and they're having 2 showers a day, people will tell you, here's my power bill before, and then I put my heat pump water heater in it, and it's killing it.
No kidding.
Wow.
So great investment.
That's a light bulb right there, or no pun intended.
And I pushed them forever back, even when Efficiency MB became integrated into MB Power, like to get that on the incentive list, and it got there. So I'm happy with that. But there's, I wish we see more people doing that. So all these things, defense before offense. Well, now we've just cut your power bill down by 40%. Well, guess what? We only need 60% of the panels that I was originally going to put on your roof. Yeah. So as soon as you get into big solar, you might have to do electrical upgrades or whatnot. So I'm always trying to sell less. And I just try to do what I would do. If this is my house, this is what I would do. And that just works great for me.
So tell me this, Rudy. That defense before offense is crucial. Obviously, it takes a little bit from your solar sales, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Because I think solar sales is a long game, or energy efficiency is a long game here. How important is reducing people's energy, so playing that defense first, because of the fact that every day or every month or every year there's more and more and more people dependent on our grid because of increase in population or what have you, or development. At what point are we chasing our tail right now? Are we behind a little bit, trying to get more people to use less because the grid can only handle so much for people's habits? Do you know what I'm saying?
Like, why is the government so interested in giving incentives to use less power?
Like, are we in a place where we're going to run out of energy on the grid?
Well, the issue that MB Power has, and I was in this is information from like 15 years ago, the Dunsky report. Does that sound familiar to
maybe to Jody?
No, but it sounds interesting.
Yes.
So back when Brian Glant was premier, Susan Holt had me go to these energy summits, so I get a little bit of insight on where we're at. We were in debt there with MB Power, and at that time I was told in the next 25 years 2/3 of all the generators assets of MB Power needed replacement or refurbishment. So we're looking at MB Power, we're looking at all these different generators.
We know.
That's what I meant. MacTquac, yeah. So MacTquac's a corker. Like they're talking $10 billion. Like that's a billion's only $1 billion's only 1,000.
There's only so much capacity, right, to send energy out to all the people that are sucking it up.
And all of our generators need refurbishment.
Right.
So the bulk of the money that's spent with MB Power is in fuel and generators, keeping these things alive.
These plants. And to generate power in that, we have to buy, as you mentioned earlier in the show, we have to buy from outside override sources.
Right.
Peak
Yeah.
times.
There's certain times, and then we're pushing electric cars and stuff. And here's a fun fact on electric cars, if you didn't know, like a 135 kilowatt hour battery from a Ford F-150 Lightning. If you charge that in an hour, 135 kilowatts, whatever that number means, it's 135 houses on the grid at the same time. One truck.
Oh, wow.
And assuming each house has a base load of 1,000 watts.
And if that energy is produced by carbon,
Yeah.
oil, gas.
Yeah. I don't think anyone actually cares.
No, they don't. But
No, they
Especially
don't.
when they're charging it.
I guess what
but
I'm
the
getting
reality
at
is it isn't clean.
It's in NB Power's best interest to get more people using less because the grid can only handle so much to put back out.
Well,
for the
if
input,
we don't
So,
have to go and
I mean,
build
the
it,
grid shuts, we get a blackout.
that's right. So that could happen. But I think that the biggest thing is
Infrastructure.
It's costing to make additional power over what we typically would use out of our base load. We'll say it's costing them to make money for us at a certain cost.
Right.
So it's cheaper. If I was running a utility and I had one generator, let's say it's just a generator like you buy at Costco, and if I was selling you guys electricity off of it, it would be the best if it was just one constant load all day, all night. But no, you guys are weird, and you have to have showers in the morning,
Yeah,
right? So, and then I got to run that giant generator.
hard.
Yeah, I got to run it, or I got to run it anyway. You know what I mean? So, we had a program called Beat the Peak a few years back, and it was NB Power trying to get customers to just have a flat line energy load. So, and that would make it easier for the utility to make money. How are we doing for time?
Well, we're up to over 21 minutes for the segment. So I'm glad you brought that up, Rudy, because you can see us looking at the timer, I'm sure. Let's continue on this conversation a little bit when we do come back from our public service announcements, our commercials. And hopefully we get a little bit of time to get a recap on the 1,000-mile challenge and the wins and the gains that you've been able to accomplish from that for so many people. So we'll see you in a few minutes.
Hi there. Welcome back to the Carr Brothers Show. It's episode 145. I'm Jack.
And I'm Jeff.
And I'm Jody, the third of the three Carr brothers.
Well, we're having an electrifying conversation here. No
like
pun
that.
intended. Well,
No,
yes,
sir.
it was intended, actually. Rudi Fowler, who's a solar expert, and we've been chatting about solar and energy consumption and energy reduction and things like that. And costs. And, at the last of this last segment, we were chatting about, Jody had a great question. Well, why is NB Power, who's running things like a business, or supposedly, and why are they so have such a desire for people to lower their consumption? And you were sort of wrapping that up for us in that explanation.
Yeah, we kind of talked on the commercial break about, if we have a business, you have a product, and then typically you want to sell more product.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
So if I'm making cookies and I'm selling them at the market, and Jody's buying the cookies, and now for some reason I'm paying Jody to buy less of my cookies.
Right.
Well, why would that be?
Yeah.
Because it's costing me more money to make the cookies.
Yeah. Okay.
And so, in the normal business, what would I say? I would say,
And you're not allowed to raise the price of the cookies. They're
Right,
only a
because-
limited amount.
because
so.
you have an army behind you, the Cookie Monsters. Say, I've always paid this much for a cookie.
Yeah.
And you're less. You have a higher need for the cookies at certain times of the day. You're not.
Yeah.
When my grandparents were around, they would break the ice out of the toilet in the morning to use it if they had a toilet.
Right.
But now it's like if it's under 19 degrees in the morning, like I am entitled to better, service here.
Yeah.
Come on, this is Canada.
So it just costs more to make more cookies.
Right. So I should buy another cookie making machine. But I can do that. It costs me a lot of money, and then the cookie making
Price
machines
goes up.
might be junk.
Yeah. And then the product costs more.
Yeah. Well, I bought a cookie machine and it cost me twice as what I thought it would cost. So this we have a history of this with NB Power. Cookie making machines suck sometimes. So
They get wore out too, right?
right. So it's in my best interest because I still have to make the cookies. Right.
Yeah.
You need to have the cookies, and I'm part of the government, and I need to, that's part of my job is to supply you with that because I'm a Crown Corp.
And there's a social good.
Right. So if I get you to use less electricity, I don't have to buy the new cookie machine.
Yeah.
And it'll save us all in the long term. Or my cookie machine has the capacity of making the cookies all day long at a certain rate, and it's a funny conversation. But you don't want the cookies when I'm making them,
Right.
and you want them nice
When
and
you want
soft
them.
and crisp, right?
Later on.
So all that to say is it's a win-win for everyone for energy efficiency.
Yeah, to use less, we're more comfortable. We can. It's cheaper for me to convince you to use less electricity than for me to go and buy another machine that makes it.
Okay.
So that's where we're at, and I think MB Power could do a lot better job of explaining that to people, because it really just, it's not salaries, and it's not it's not that stuff. It's we're not dumb enough that we don't understand this stuff. Break it down into cookie machines so a guy from Tracy like myself can understand it.
Right. Yeah.
And if we get that all out there on the table and we're all on the same page, it's just going to help everybody.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
We're all in it together. This is our company. We're partners in this.
That's right. Well, that's a great discussion on energy consumption, solar power, and the energy efficiency programs that we have in the province, and a great analogy on cookie machines.
Yeah.
So, among all the other hobbies and interests and work and family schedules, you also are one of the founders of the 1,000 Mile Challenge from a few years back, and that's progressed and improved and gone to places you probably thought it never would have. So just give us a quick rundown on the history of that, Rudi, and how that's going and where you want it to go.
It was an excellent year for the 1,000 Mile Challenge, as some of you followers have seen from the first. It's where my face ended up on the internet for the first time. We started with 2 riders, just trying to do 1,000 miles in a day.
But what are you riding? What? Okay.
Snowmobiles.
Not horses then.
No,
snowmobiles.
I had in my mind horses for some reason.
Horsepower.
Yes, that's what it was.
Right.
So snowmobiles.
It kind of goes against the green initiative, doesn't it? There.
No, no judgment. No judgment.
Yeah.
It's okay. I've got lots of carbon credits.
Yeah, there. Yes.
So these snowmobiles go from place to place.
Yeah. So originally it was a challenge to do 1,000 miles in 24 hours.
Okay.
So we pulled it off with 10 minutes to spare. People threw a whole bunch of money at it, and it was just a selfish personal goal of myself to see if we could do that. It was during COVID. People were bored. It ended up on the internet. There were sponsors that we didn't really ask for, and we raised $19,000.
Oh, wow. Took right off.
Yeah, so we gave it all to Green Hill Lake Camp to send kids to camp, because we were going to do the challenge anyway. Year 2, we said, okay, we have to do this again because we could raise another $19,000. So we did it again, raised almost $80,000. Then we did 4 riders, tried to get the 4 brands. We turned it into a thing. I think it was 2 years ago we made it a nonprofit. Last year we had close to 50 riders from everywhere. There was Nova Scotia, Ontario, Quebec, down in Boston way, a lot of riders from the States, Vermont.
So they come up, and where do you start from?
We always make it in New Brunswick.
Yeah.
I hope to continue to do that.
So you start somewhere in New Brunswick.
Yeah, so this year we started at the Riverside Resort, actually.
Okay.
So we brought that, breathed a little bit of life coming back into that. So this year we raised almost, I'm going to say $170,000.
Wow.
Holy.
So anyway, if you're watching, we opened up registration. So what we use the money for, we have a little bit of operating costs, and we pride ourselves in running a skeleton crew and keeping all that money and sending it to send kids to camp who do not normally go, due to finances. So last year, I think it was 17 different camps that we sent the money to, and we'll send it back to the places it came from if there's a demand for kids to go to camp there. Most of it stays in New Brunswick. So 1000milechallenge.ca, we have a go to camp section on there. If you don't have the money to send kids to camp, or you only have part of it, we'll cover the rest. Especially if your kid has not gone to camp. So the money came from local people. They came from people that we do business with, sponsors, and there's donations. And it's a pretty cool thing that happened by accident. And we're just going to keep doing it.
Wow.
So 1,000 miles, is it spelt out 1,000, or is it 100?
100. Yeah.
0.
3.
Yeah.
That's cool. So where's the furthest distance that participant came from?
Oh, excellent question. Probably Michigan.
Wow.
I believe, yeah. We had some Albertans come, but I think they're originally from here.
Okay.
But yeah, it grows every year. We go to the trade shows every year and recruit and bring people to New Brunswick. It's an excellent way to bring people to New Brunswick. They don't just come once.
Well, they're
There's
bringing money.
Huge spin-offs.
Yes, it's exporting.
They would have spent well over $50,000 just in fuel last year. Yeah, just for those
provincial
machines.
economy.
And they get to see what we've got to offer here. Some of them have moved here. You know, Lisa Whiteman, she was our star in year three. And she's been with us ever since. And
So is it a race?
It's not a race.
No, it's
we're not allowed to say that word.
No.
Causes trouble in the neighborhood.
It's not a cannonball run.
My gosh.
Oh, sorry. So
cannonball
one thing
run.
I should say,
just a
it used to be 24 hours. Now we give them a week to do it.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, so you
watering
got
it
an
down.
entire week to do that.
Safety first.
Safety first.
Yeah.
No,
and you know
that's-
what? The way that this format has gone, it's been better
It's just
for
fun.
everybody.
Just fun.
Yeah.
Plus, they
excellent.
spend more
It's
money.
more
in the
enjoyable
province.
for them too, right? The riders,
Yeah,
especially.
and I jumped back in this year. You know, I was kind of turned off because it's such a hard thing to do in 24 hours, and I said I'm never doing that again. So now I've got a week to do it. I just take some buddies. We sponsor ourselves, Jack Carr. He's got his name on the sled. We sell
Carr Real
stickers on the
Estate.
sled.
Wow.
Yeah, so he's always supported us. I think even since year one.
Right from year one. Yeah.
Wow.
So it's a great way to get names out there, and the money goes right to helping kids out, and with the hope that in their future they've got a good foundation and it's going to keep them on the straight and narrow, and have that experience and make friends that may last a lifetime. So.
Oh, it's amazing. I've been to Green Hill Lake Camp way back in the early '80s, and it was a really fun time that week that I was there with all my friends from Fredericton Junction and Tracy. We got to go there, and it's very enjoyable. So for anybody thinking about going to that camp or any others, and you just maybe not have the funds, or maybe you just even want more information about it, check out 1000milechallenge.ca.
Or donate too.
It's there, and we've got. I believe we opened up a week and a half ago, and we've got about 150 registered kids so far. So, and we should have some room for some more, and it helps. We're not paying. Some of the parents are pitching dollars into, so it really helps it go a long way. So.
Excellent.
Well, that's excellent. Well, let's wrap up our show.
It's time to wrap it up.
Okay.
Yeah, we've got
We
a
could
great
talk
guest,
much
Rudi,
more.
returning guest here. The
Thanks
last
for
time we
having me.
had you was on Zoom, but check him out on Facebook and East Coast Sun on Google it.
Yeah, Google
on the
it.
internet.
It'll come up.
It'll come up. So, on behalf of the Carr brothers,
Yes.
I'm Jeff, and with Jack and Jody, we're going to sign off for the night, and we will see you next week.
Take care.